Alrighty. Can everyone hear me so far? If you can't, can you please chat in the window? Say yes, no, maybe so. Can you all hear?
If they can't hear, they can't type no.
Yes, that's true. Then I will say, can you all hear in the chat window?
All those who can't hear, type no.
Yes. All right, perfect. It looks like everyone's saying yes. This is awesome, so great. Let me come on around. So hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. If this is your first time, you're in for a treat. If this is your second, third, fourth, however many times we've done this, thank you for coming back. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Evan Herbert. I'm one of the counselors here. To my left is Deb. She was actually joining us, I think, what, 2 chats ago or so?
Yes.
So she's back for more. So if you were able to join us, you'll do a recap and some financial aid. And then for the first time this year, we have Henry. Henry's going to talk a lot about Bursar and about paying your bill. Just a couple of cleanup things. Please do not unmute yourself. Other people can hear what you are saying and doing, so I have muted all of you. Keep it muted. If you have questions, type them in the chat window. I will read them off to our fantastic guests. Other than that, sit back, enjoy, and listen to these 2 fantastic people. I called you fantastic guests.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
You might want to wait until we're done.
Okay, all right, we'll talk after.
Yes.
And a word of caution, if you're using an iPad, the camera is on you. And Evan can see you.
Yes, I can. I can see all of you if the camera is
The guy who has no shirt on, we can see. Okay? So if you, whether it's an iPad or a laptop or a computer, if you have a cam, it's probably on. Just make sure you're decent.
All right, now that we got everything cleared up and out of the way, if you two first want to introduce yourself, say your official title, and then I will start the screen share and presentation and everything. So.
Okay. I'm Deb Patel. I'm the Assistant Director in Financial Aid. I've been at Xavier almost 8 years, but I've been doing this a long time. And hopefully I can answer all your questions. And if I can't,
I will.
I was going to say that. Okay.
My name is Henry Sauce. I'm the Bursar. I've been here just over 8 years. And Bursar just simply means treasurer. I don't see myself as the treasurer. I really see myself more as the business manager, because the Bursar's office is responsible for sending out, or I should say publishing, bills and collecting payments, managing the payment plan, cashiering payments, doing online payments.
Okay.
Perfect. Then I will start the screen share. So let me pop this up. All right. So here's some information about financing your data reputation.
Okay. Before I talk about sources of financial aid, you will be getting your award letter shortly, probably within the next 7 days. This year we're doing a little bit different. You will be getting snail mail, hard copies in your mail to say, hey, look at your email. Everything normally, 99% of the time, will be through email. So this first go round will be snail mail. After that, your email. So we put everything, we address everything to the email address that you put on your FAFSA. So make sure if you did stursula.org going to your high school, it's still going to be going to that email address next year when you're here at Xavier. So just make sure to change your email address. Once you get your award letter, if you filed the FAFSA, you should have received notification already that we have received it. Sometimes we get emails, have you received my FAFSA? Yes, we have. You should have received notification. And once you get your award letter, we go by, and I have to read this because I always get this backwards, active acceptance, passive denial, which means once you get your award letter, we're thinking that everything's great and that you want what was offered to you, meaning if you do not want your federal loans, because normally we will tack them on at the bottom. This is money that you pay back after you graduate. It does not automatically disperse onto your account because there's a couple things you have to do. So every week we'll be sending you reminders to complete your entrance counseling. And if you do not want your loans, then please contact us and we'll keep sending you the same, don't forget you have to do this email when you don't want them. So that said, what you'll see on your award letter will be various things. Financial aid involves scholarships. Scholarships are once you applied and were accepted into Xavier, you sent in your grades, your ACTs, and you were given the Dean's Award, the Presidential Scholarship, various awards and scholarships. And that's because 100% of the students get some type of monetary award. This is money that's good for the next 4 years. This is money that you don't pay back. This was given actually on your junior grades because you haven't graduated yet. And keep in mind, what you come in with is not necessarily what you'll leave with, because second semester of being a freshman, we have 4 more pages of internal scholarships that you can apply for on top of what you've already been given. So another type of financial aid are grants. You might see a housing grant on your award letter. You might see a Xavier grant. You might see a Muskie grant. You might see a state grant, a Pell grant. All the grants means that you do not have to pay them back. That's free money also. Then we will tack on the student loans. As a freshman, it is $5,500. Sophomore, $6,500. Junior, senior, $7,500. Again, this is money that you pay back after you graduate, or unless you drop below half time. And again, this is not something automatically that will appear on your account. There are steps that you have to take in order to have it dispersed. Then there are, you might see work study, federal work study monies on your award. That is a job on campus. We have a job fair the first or second day of school. You bring your resume. We're lined up at the Cintas Center, everyone with their tables. I swear it's like speed dating. You come up to our table, you will have a list of the jobs that are available, and if you find a job on campus, it's normally maybe 8 to 10 hours a week. You get paid every other week, minimum wage. This is money that is not subtracted from your bill. You can earn that much. So every year we keep getting less and less funds from the Department of Education, from the federal government on federal work study. So if you are offered it as a freshman and do not use it or cannot find a job, it's hard for us to transfer that onto your sophomore year. So next, that is cost of attendance. Cost of attendance, how we figure out how much you're getting and who gets the grants. And cost of attendance is the cost of everything that we can associate with going to school. You have your have-to costs, your tuition, your fees, your room, your board. Then we figure maybe $1,000 in transportation. You are not being charged for this. You will see this estimated on your award letter. This is, you're going to be driving to and from school. Your parents could be flying in. That's all part of the cost of attending a school. We figure maybe $500 a semester for books. And when we can't think of anything else, we throw in another $1,000 for miscellaneous fees, pizza on campus, movies, various other things. That is the cost of attending. Every school has the basic costs that are broken out like that. So again, you'll see that on your award letter. You'll see estimated room and board charges, but it's estimated because we don't know what room you've chosen, whether you are in a double, a triple, a quad, a single. So it just gives a ballpark on how much you could be owing. I think that's it. The next one's payment, and Henry will tell you when you have a balance after you subtract your aid on how you can pay that off.
Thanks, Deb. The way the payment works, and I'm going to talk just a little bit about the payments, and then once Deb is finished with her presentation, then we can talk a little bit more about how the Bursar's office works. But payments come in from a variety of places. Some of that is what Deb talked about, from scholarships, from grants, from loans. Other ways that payments are posted to your Bursar account is through outside scholarships. This might be a scholarship that comes from Kiwanis or from the Boy Scouts of America or the PTA or some other organization outside of Xavier. And the scholarship usually works this way. Sometimes, well, I say most of the time, the check will be sent to Xavier University. Sometimes before the check comes to Xavier, we'll get a letter telling us that you have been awarded a scholarship and it's in this amount, and a check will follow a couple of days, a couple of weeks later. Sometimes the check is included in the letter. But if the letter or the scholarship is intended to be spent, half of it for the fall semester and half of it for the spring semester, we will go ahead and post it all to the fall semester. Typically, scholarship organizations or organizations that issue scholarships do not issue two checks, one for the fall semester and one for the spring. They lump it into one, and we post it all to the fall semester. So you would benefit from that for the fall semester, but not have that for the spring semester. Another way is the 529 plans that are out there. These are savings plans that many parents use for educational purposes, and we really don't get involved in the 529 plans. This is really a transaction that occurs between the owner of the plan, typically a parent, telling the plan or the organization that is managing the plan to go ahead and issue a check to Xavier University. On that check, we really want to have the student ID number, the student's name, as much identifying information as possible, and those 529 checks come into the Bursar's office and we post those to the Bursar account. Another way to do this is through current resources. You can, if you have money saved up, for instance, you've worked over many summers, you've got money in your savings or checking account, your parents have money in their savings or checking account, and it's identified for your education, those payments can come in by check, mailed to us. We really encourage electronic checks, payments that are made online electronically. There's no additional cost for paying online by electronic check. It just, the system just wants to know what the routing number is and the account number and the dollar amount, and that payment will post to your Bursar account instantaneously. We also accept credit cards online only, MasterCard, Visa, Discover, and American Express. And those payments we love to get online, but there is a 2.75% convenience fee associated with that payment that goes to our merchant provider. So it can be expensive depending upon how much you're paying by credit card. The other way that I'll address to make payments, Deb talked about the financial aid award letter. And if I could encourage you to do one thing in all of your 4 years at Xavier, and that is to read. Read, read, read. If you read that award letter, you will notice words like Deb already articulated, words like estimated. Now, we can tell you, she can tell you, the financial aid office can tell you on your award letter how much your tuition cost is, what your fees are, but like Deb said, the housing is estimated. The meal plan is estimated. She talked about federal work study. Federal work study does not go against the Bursar bill. So it's important to understand that there are charges, and then there are certain payments that could be loans, grants, scholarships, outside scholarships, 529 payments, but there still could be a gap, an amount that is still due. And one way to manage that amount due is by enrolling in a payment plan. The payment plan is a 4-payment plan for each semester. So for the fall semester, the payment plan starts, or the first payment is due on August 1st, and it runs through November 1st. So you have August, September, October, November. It takes the balance, divides it by 4, and that's the monthly payment. But you have to keep in mind that the payment plan is not unlike a credit card, like a MasterCard or a Visa. If you put charges onto your Bursar account, that next payment is going to go up a little bit. Or if you get money from some unexpected place and you put it on as a payment, that next payment will come down a little bit. So it is a very dynamic payment plan, but it is one way of being able to manage that balance due by dividing it up. Now, it's going to be really important when you sign up for that plan. You want to sign up for the payment plan somewhere between the 15th of July, when the first bill is published, and I'll talk about that later, and the 1st of August, when that first payment is due. Because if you sign up for the payment plan after the first payment is due, it will force you to make that first payment to get caught up. And there's a $50 enrollment fee each semester to get into that payment plan. And I'll let Deb talk about another way of being able to pay your balance. She's already touched on it, but she's going to go into a little bit more detail.
Another way besides the student loans, because the feds are trying to protect how much a student can take on their student loans, there are parent loans. A parent loan is a credit check. It has a window of about 90 days. They are extending it a little bit, I believe, for a credit check. So if school starts in August, I would apply for the parent loan in July. I wouldn't do it now, but I would wait till July. We give out the aid for the year, and Henry bills by the semester. So if you have an $18,000 scholarship, $9,000 will disperse in the fall and $9,000 will disperse in the spring. But when you would look for a parent loan, you would take the amount for the year on what you would owe. A parent loan is a mom or a dad taking out the loan. There are also alternative loans to fill the gap, so you wouldn't be joining the payment plan if you wanted to pay off the balance. The private alternative loans or the Sallie Mae loans, Wells Fargo, they are listed on our financial aid website under loans, alternative loans. The students would need a credit-worthy cosigner, and that can be anyone. That can be a mom, a dad, an aunt, an uncle, a friend. Those take about a month, so you might want to apply maybe the beginning of July versus the end of July for a parent loan or an alternative loan.
Let's finish the slideshow and then we'll be able to get into a little bit more detail.
Okay, one more thing. We always get the question, what is the interest rate for a parent? It is 7.21%, and the student loans are 4.66% interest.
Say that one more time if you would.
The plus loans, the parent loans, are 7.21%, and the student loans are 4.66%. The alternative loans kind of vary. It is dependent upon the credit of the cosigner. Even the alternative loans and the parent loans are paid back after the student graduates. So I say if you buy a car, the first payment's due as you're going off the lot. For the parent loans and the alternative loans, the student loans, this is money's paid back after a student graduates. Henry will probably push about paying the interest as you go along. You always give that presentation. So you're just paying principal if you graduate. So the interest could be $10, $20, $30 a quarter. That's a lot easier to pay as you go along. That's all I got.
No more slides?
All right, I'm going to go back to your information real fast. So if anyone needs anything, here's both Deb and Henry's information. Feel free to write it down. And then I will open up the questions shortly. Keep writing questions in the chat window as you think of them.
You got more?
I have more.
Okay.
You have more?
Oh, you have more?
I'm done.
Oh,
Okay, I have more.
Okay.
oh, you have more? Okay.
I always have more. If you could write down this website, I'm going to give you just a second to make sure you have a pencil and piece of paper, or like I use my iPhone to read all my notes. If you could take down this website, it's www.xavier.edu/bursar, B-U-R-S-A-R. That's xavier.edu/bursar. That's the Bursar's website. And if you take a look at that landing page when you get there, along the left-hand side, There's some links to some important information. On the right-hand side, you can scroll down and you'll see a link to frequently asked questions. If you read those questions and read the answers, you will be well informed on how the process works here at Xavier when it comes to billing, timing of bills, payments, payment plans, due dates, late fees, and those types of things. So what I want to discuss is to tell you a few things. One is, on the award letter, you will see, if you are receiving financial aid, you might see a loan in the amount of $3,750. Go ahead.
You'll only see a loan on your award letter if you filed a FAFSA.
Right.
Sorry.
So if you filed a FAFSA and you get, therefore, a federal loan from the Department of Education, that loan amount on the award letter is going to be in a rounded number. It'll be like $3,750. But somewhere on that award letter, I believe, at the bottom, it's been a while since I've looked at it, in the very small print, you'll want to get a magnifying glass out for that. It talks about the fees that the Department of Education withholds from any loan that they disperse. So it could be a Parent Plus loan, it could be an unsubsidized federal loan, it could be a subsidized federal loan. Those loans carry with it a fee, an origination fee or an administrative fee that the Department of Education withholds. So instead of getting exactly $3,750 dispersed to your Bursar account, it might come in at $3,721. So you'll need to be able to be flexible and adjust accordingly. Don't do it straight to the penny, because odds are you're going to be off, and then you're going to be calling one of our offices to find out why you're off on the bill, and it's because of these fees. Deb had mentioned about paying interest as you go. I learned this when my own kids were going through school. I have triplet sons. They're 31 years old now, and I am so grateful that they're tax-paying citizens. It's unbelievable. I am so happy. But when they were in school, they went to different colleges in different states, and at one point in time, I received in the mail at home envelopes addressed to each one of my kids. And it said, when I opened it up, it said, "This is not a bill." And here it was an explanation of the loan that each son had taken out and how much interest had accrued over the first, I think it was 3 months. I think it's every quarter we received this non-bill in the mail. So this told me that the loan that the financial aid office had given them at their respective school had accrued interest over time. And every time I got that non-bill, I went ahead and contacted each son and I said, okay, I have a non-bill here. It's for $220. How do you want to handle it? Do you want to pay for it? Do you want me to pay for it? Or do you want to partner and do, some certain percent you pay and I pay? And we paid those non-bill interests each and every time that we got it, so that when they got out of school, the only thing they had to pay was the principal amount and not any accrued interest. One of the missions that we have in the Bursar's office, as well as financial aid, and that is to have you graduate with as little debt as possible. And I think paying accrued interest along the way is one of those ways that we can help in that mission. Another thing, you're probably familiar now, or I would imagine they're familiar, is that right, with Road to Xavier?
Yes,
yep.
So they all signed up on it.
Yeah, so you're into Road to Xavier. At some point in time in the summer, as we get closer to the start of the fall semester, you'll want to transition out of the Road to Xavier and get into the Student Hub. And the Student Hub is where, once you become a full-fledged on-campus student, or really taking classes here, you're going to be working out of the Student Hub. That's where you learn, you communicate with your professors, you communicate with your fellow classmates. You can also take a look at your bill. When it comes to the bill, we bill every single month. Just like a car payment, a utility bill, a credit card, we bill every single month. The bill is published on the 15th of every month. Now, if the 15th falls on a weekend or a holiday, we publish it on the previous business day. So that bill, and I say published, means that it is online. It's a bill that when we publish it, you would get an email saying that a bill has been published and it's ready to be viewed. You can log in through the Student Hub and you can take a look at that bill. Also, that's where you would sign up for payment plans. You would look at what your balance due is. You would look at transactions that have taken place on your account since your last bill. So that hub, that Student Hub where you would go to pay your bill, you can do an awful lot of things right in that link. So the bill is published on the 15th. The payment is due on the 1st of the next month. We have a late fee that's assessed on the 14th of that next month. So we offer a grace period of almost 2 weeks. We do assess the late fee the day before the next bill is published. So I'm going to run through that again. The 15th of July is going to be a very important bill that's going to be published because it will show all of your charges for the fall semester and all of your anticipated financial aid. And I say anticipated because the financial aid office can't disperse the money until 10 days or less prior to the start of school. So our system will take a look at your account. We'll see what your charges are, which includes the appropriate room that you're going to be in and the appropriate meal plan that you signed up for. And it's going to list your financial aid. The remaining balance, if any, is the gap that you need to pay either through the payment plan, outside scholarships, 529 plans, money from grandma, grandpa, if you sell baked goods out on the corner, whatever it takes, that's the gap that you'll need to satisfy, and you'll be able to see and hopefully come to some agreement once you take a look at your financial aid award letter. I ask that you just be patient because the going to school, especially if you're going to be the first student in your family to go to school, you haven't had an older sibling going to college, the learning curve is very steep. And both Deb's office and our office and the bursar's office were very patient and very willing to help you understand it. But we really encourage you to take a look at our websites. I've got FAQs out there, frequently asked questions, as I mentioned. I assume, do you have some out there too?
Yeah, there's some.
Yeah, there might be one. So, so you want to take a look at that, and oftentimes you'll be able to satisfy the question that you have by just doing a little bit of work on the website.
And again, you will see initially your loan, half of your loan dispersing onto that bill, and you'll think that's how much you owe. But if you haven't done your master promissory note or your entrance counseling, it is not going to disperse onto your account. So when you get the actual bill and it's more
than you think, it's probably because you haven't done something that you needed to do.
Correct.
So that is a great segue where I go next. And this is the part that is always so warm and fuzzy for absolutely nobody but me, right? And that is, I'll just speak for me. I see hundreds and hundreds of students. I've seen them over the years of me being in higher education. And there are a couple of things that I would encourage you to do to help you prepare for a successful time here at Xavier. And this also is what I've seen in my sons. The first thing to do is what I talked about, and that is to read. The second thing is to understand that it is our job, my job, to help you be different when you get out at 22 than when you came in at 18 or 17. If you are exactly the same person when you get out at 22 as when you came in this coming fall, then I'd say, whew, shame on you and maybe shame on me. But if you ever get a chance to come into my office, I guarantee you that I can help you to be different when you get out, because not too many people survive an hour with me. I'm just kidding. But it is so important for you to take on responsibility. This is the time for you to practice for the next 4 years the kind of man or the kind of woman you want to be. Yes, I do know that it is a partnership these days, that parents, grandparents, siblings, it's so important to help support you as the student to come into college. And Students say, well, my parents handle that. You know what, that only goes so far with me, because that is going to help you be the same when you get out as when you came in. So if you aren't doing your laundry now, start doing your laundry so that when you come to college, you can start to be different when you get out than when you came in. There are lots of ways that you can do that. It's about being proactive. So instead of blaming your mom and dad for something that you think they should have done, odds are you could have done it yourself. And that is where the growth starts to take off. The other thing is to have a great GPA. I can't tell you how many times I have heard from students who tell me as freshmen they came in and at high school they were doing really, really well. They had a 4.0, and you know how much they studied? 0. They got great grades. And all of a sudden they come to college and they realize, oh my goodness, I don't know how to study, and it's hard work, and I've got to do this by myself now. How am I going to get there? And I think part of it is about surrounding yourself with great people. There are great people here on Xavier's campus, and sometimes you're going to be pulling those people along to encourage them, and sometimes they're going to be pulling you along to encourage you. But that GPA that you create your freshman year can set the stage for much better financial aid your sophomore, junior, and senior year, because financial aid offices are going to invest in a student who is kicking, are we allowed to say kicking butt?
Yeah.
Kicking butt
Of course.
on their grades. And it means that you may have to learn how to study very quickly and very differently than you did in high school. So I want to prepare you. It's rigorous. It's not easy. And it's not that Xavier is all about being hard. It's not, because I've got my master's here and the teachers want us to succeed as students. They really do. And so it's about us doing our part as students to finding the time to study, being able to balance it with our social life, and finding a group of friends who will encourage us and support us and challenge us.
And sleep.
Oh, sleep is very important too. So try not to stay up too late. So there's an awful lot to consider when you come to college. And I'm just telling you that these are the things that I see from students who come in. It's so important for you to know how much it's going to cost so that you aren't here for one semester because you can't afford to be here. Get a plan in place. Look at the numbers. If you need help, call our offices. We're happy to help. But that financial aid award letter is a pretty good guide as to telling you what the nut is at the bottom that you're going to have to crack each semester to pay. I want to reiterate, Deb's office talks in annual terms, and you'll see on the financial aid award letter there are columns, fall and spring semester. We talk in semester terms. So if you tell me that you got a loan for, Deb used $9,000, I'm going to say, oh, well, that's $4,500 for this semester. And there are fees that are taken out from the Department of Education. So it's less than $4,500. These are things to keep track of. Now, one of the questions that I get often is, how do I pick a meal plan? Because the meal plans have different prices. And what I did with my sons, and of course sons, they eat a ton, and I've seen parents who are so worried about their child that they have to eat 3 square meals a day. Well, let me give you a piece of reality. The odds are 99.99% that if you have a class that starts at 8:30 in the morning, you're going to get up at 8:29 and you're going to make it to class on time, and you're not going to eat breakfast, but you're going to eat an early lunch. So make sure that you take a look at the meal plans and you match it to your lifestyle, and that can help you to save some money as well. And moms and dads, it's okay, they're going to survive. They still make ramen noodles, I hear.
There's only 2 meal plans now. They eliminated one, so it's the first one is the one for the athletes that eat all day from 7 in the morning until 12 at night, and then the other meal plan is your average one.
And we will be having,
makes it easier.
We will be having one about dining options and general and meal plan and a la carte options later in the summer. So you'll see a breakdown of what those plans are and where you can get a bite to eat on campus. So stay tuned for that Muskie chat later.
A couple of the other things that are really important. There is a federal regulation that you'll become familiar with, and the acronym is FERPA, F-E-R-P-A, and it stands for the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. You as a student have a right to your privacy. Even if you're 17 years old and you come to college, as soon as you step foot on campus, you have a right to your privacy. So in the Bursar's office, when you go to the Bursar's website, you'll see on the left-hand side a link called Forms. You follow that link and there'll be a PDF there called FERPA, or Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, and you can fill out Part A if you're the student. And all you would do is you would list the name of the person or names of the people you want to grant access to your Bursar account. And you would fill out their relationship to you, and then you would sign, date it, print your name, and put your student identification number there. And then you can mail, fax, scan, email that form to my office, and we will go ahead and put that on your Bursar account. I'm going to tell you why in a minute. Also, once you start getting electronically involved with your e-bill and online payments, you'll see a place on that landing page on the e-payment site through the Student Hub where you can sign an authorized user up, so that when we do publish a bill and an email is sent out to you telling you that a bill is published and it's now ready to be viewed, whoever you sign up as an authorized user would also get an email. So that authorized user would have access to that e-payment site through their own username and password. I do not recommend that you give your username and password to your parents. They have access to their own, and they then can see the bill, the balance, make a payment online, those types of things. I want to talk about FERPA. So when your parent calls up or somebody calls up and says, I want to know what the balance is on my student's account, the first thing we're going to do in both of our offices is to take a look to see if there is a FERPA on file. And if there is one signed, we're going to take a look and see who's there, who's on that form, or who is an authorized user on your account. And if that person is that person, then we're going to go ahead and give them that information. You get to decide as a student here on campus who has rights to your private information and who doesn't. So that we just deal with the financial side of that. When it comes to grades and things like that, I think that comes from the registrar's office, and I think they communicate strictly to the student unless there's an authorization form for the very first semester to take a look at midterm grades, and that's something I'm sure Evan would talk about or can address later.
Yep.
I forgot.
Do you have something, Xavier, or are we good for questions? We have quite a few questions that you guys are asking.
Okay, yeah.
So, all right. And if you guys keep having questions throughout this, please keep asking away. First question, do you have to apply for grants?
No. When we do the financial aid award letters, it's like making a sandwich. We look at what scholarship or award that you have. We look to see how much need is left over, and need is based on your cost of attendance minus your scholarships. If it looks like you have a lot of need left is determined by the estimated family contribution from your FAFSA. We'll plug in a housing grant. A state grant is FAFSA specific. A Pell Grant is a FAFSA specific, but no, what was the question? We automatically put the grants on. You don't have to apply for a grant.
If our grades skyrocket senior year, would you consider those grades? I'm assuming you mean senior year of high school. I'm going to guess that's the case. So,
yes. It is my understanding, but that is actually an admission question because they get the transcripts and the grades as long as you take the ACT, SAT before May. If you receive the results before May, your new scores will be considered. The higher grades, though, aren't coming out until May or June from the high school, the transcripts. So
Typically, to elaborate on that, typically what we do is we base GPA off of freshman through junior year, and we only, unless we specifically ask for senior grades, and we do not look at them until the final transcript. We don't account for that with your scholarship. Where you can boost your acceptance scholarship is with, exactly as Deb said, is with test scores.
but skyrockets, well, what you've been doing the first 3 years. But
Yeah.
hello.
All right. Can you work on campus without work study in your information package?
Only if the businesses are not Xavier related, meaning like University Station, I don't know, some of the coffee places, the sandwich shops.
They can't work at Cintas, for instance, or in the CAF if they don't have federal work study? I thought you
The
could.
Cintas you can, a cafeteria you can, because that's still Xavier related, even though it's owned by Charlton Wells. But most 90% of the jobs are through federal work study. Let's say you weren't given any federal funds, then you would go to career services, and there are businesses around the perimeter of the campus that maybe you could work at Kroger's down the street or something along that line. But most, all the jobs that I'm aware of are federal work study jobs.
Okay, and the way that I understood it, and we argue like this, not argue. We always question one another.
Yeah.
You what?
Banter.
Yeah, we banter back and forth. It was always my understanding that during the career fair, at the very first day of school at Cintas, they could go one side of the concourse is federal work study, the other side.
You say that all the time.
But that's not true?
I don't think that's true.
Okay, I always thought then that there were non-federal work study jobs like Cintas, not a lot, but Cintas, the CAF, the cafeteria, maybe other places that you might be able to find a job, maybe even through career services.
Well, like
on
the
campus.
bookstore, you don't need, the bookstore, you don't need federal work study.
Okay.
Cintas, you don't.
Would you say if Xavier is paying you, then you need federal work study? If not,
That is correct.
Say that again.
If Xavier is paying you, you need federal work study. If it's not through Xavier, and when it's not Xavier paying you, then you do not need.
That's what I was kind of saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Right. No, I said that.
All right, perfect. So the next question is, isn't there a parent area inside the Road to Xavier portal? If so, how do your kids give us access to that section? Do you guys know this question?
That's a question for you.
Yeah,
Turn
it
the
is.
camera around.
So there actually, there actually is a parent Road to Xavier. I can double check the exact one. I believe it's Road to Xavier. So it's www.roadtoxavier. Is it .com or .edu? I forget.
Probably
parent.
EDU.
Probably .edu/parent. That's how it will be sending out. Actually, to be honest with you, the parent Road to Xavier isn't really as functional right now. It comes out as soon as financial aid packages start coming in. And you'll get information about that with those packages. And that's where you can see a lot of additional information, and we'll provide a lot of things on there. So it'll be much more effective.
Robust.
Yes, thank you. So that'll be coming soon. If you would like, then I will put my email at the end, and you can email me. I can make sure I give you the exact link to it. Is this the cost of attendance the same on the Road to Xavier as shown online? The Road to Xavier, from my understanding, the Road to Xavier cost under the financial section of the tab is a guesstimate, not the actual cost. It is basically telling what we have so far and what we're guesstimating for that actual cost to be, not the cost until the bill officially comes out.
Hello. Thanks, Henry. All right. I'll keep going along. What is the current interest rate on student loans? We said that, but can you just reiterate it? I think it's 4 point something.
4.66%.
Okay. That's fine. That's
And the
perfect.
parent loan is 7.21%.
All righty.
So like Henry was saying, though, if you have $1,000 unsubsidized loan, $990 is going to disperse. They'll take $10.
All right. Is it a $50 fee each semester to sign up for a payment plan?
Yes, $50 fee each semester to sign up for the payment plan.
All right. Do we get loans directly from school or do we apply somewhere else?
You will apply at www.studentloans.gov. You will need to complete your entrance counseling online. It's a short quiz. Yes, I know you have to pay it back. This is the interest, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And after you do that, you have to complete the master promissory note. It's good for 10 years. I'm done.
Yeah, talking about that just a little bit, my office will often have the parent call, and I don't know how many parents are listening to this wonderful broadcast, but even if your parent is not listening, I encourage you students to take on the responsibility of making sure that you do the work. You sign your master promissory note online. You do the entrance counseling. Entrance counseling is nothing more than speaking to you in plain English about the type of loan that you're taking out. When you leave Xavier, whether you graduate or not, you will do an entrance or an exit counseling. And all it means is that the government tells you in plain English about the debt that you took out, and it reminds you of what your responsibility is. Anytime that you need something, it's important for you as the student to take on that responsibility and communicate with your parent what it is that you need. Hey, mom and dad, a bill was published. I need to have a payment in by this date. You drive the bus, and that's how you're going to grow and change so that when you get out, you're different. So often I have parents call and the student is nowhere, absolutely nowhere involved in any conversation, in anything. And when I ask the parent about it, they say, well, he's studying. Yeah, I don't think so. I already know that the students on campus, whether you're a commuter, whether you live on campus, there's an awful lot more to campus than just studying. There's a social life, there are games to go to, there's a workout place to go to, there are things to do. So I know that we're in an age of helicopter parents, and I've had a teacher tell us that there's I forget what they call it, but it's even something more than a helicopter parent. And this is really a time for parents to partner with the student, but allow the student to take on that responsibility and drive the bus, and you come along for support and question and see how much you can take off of your shoulder as the parent and put onto the shoulder of your student.
Also, along that line, if the student does not want the loan, we cannot accept it by the parent saying Susie does not want the loan, because it's not the parent's loan, it's Susie's loan. So Susie would have to send us an email saying, I do not want the loan.
Yeah, I'll give you a great example. This thing that has started, I know you really don't, I'm trying to keep you from all the questions. But in my office, one fall semester, I had the mom sitting over here, and I had the student sitting over here, and I looked right at the student, straight in their eye, and I said, how are you doing today? And the mom said, she's doing fine.
You
wow.
didn't see her mouth move, did you?
Her mouth didn't move at all. And so that to me was the ultimate example of a helicopter parent. This is really a great time for students to step up and to shine and really grow into that adulthood place.
And we'll help you.
Yes, we will.
Can't. Yep, okay.
Okay, next question, Abed.
Perfect, all right. Can students get Stafford or Perkins loans in addition to the minimum loans?
Those are the student loans. The Perkins loans, they come from the Department of Education. They are direct student loans, is the $5,500 that you will see.
So that is the minimum. I mean, that's the basic.
Yes,
the Stafford unsubsidized and subsidized?
That is correct.
And then the next question actually is along with, do we get subsidized and unsubsidized from the school?
The school gives no loans. It is the Department of Education, and we put them on your financial aid award letter, and you will go to studentloans.gov to complete the various things that you need to do. the loans will then, along with the rest of your aid, disperse onto your account. And you didn't talk about refunds either.
I know I was going to get to that if Evan let me.
But great question. What can I say?
But I think to her point though about this is that those loans, those basic loans, are pretty much an automatic when you fill out the FAFSA. And Xavier University's financial aid office, embodied here in Deb, is really just the middleman between the Department of Education and your Bursar account.
And the parent loans, you can take up as much as you want as long as it doesn't go over the cost of attendance. An alternative loan, the private loans, the Sally Mae loans, you can go up to your cost of attendance. But the student direct loans are the $5,500.
Can I talk about refunds, or do you?
Before you do that, can we, since we're on subsidized and unsubsidized, one of the questions just has, what is the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized?
The difference is when you file your FAFSA, if there is need, and need is determined by the estimated family contribution on your FAFSA. When you filled out your FAFSA, it looks for how many's in your family. California's looked at differently than Florida, than Kentucky, than Indiana. How old the parent is, the more their assets are protected. They look at the student first, then they look at the parents, and it gives a number, it calculates a number that they think the parents can help the student with their bill. What was the question?
What's the
difference.
So depending on the results of your FAFSA, you can have up to $3,500 in a subsidized loan, which means the government is paying the interest while you are in school. $2,000 of the $5,500 would be unsubsidized, meaning that interest begins accruing once it is dispersed. So if you have need, and that is determined by your FAFSA, and you will see it on your award letter, subsidized, the government is subsidizing your interest, paying your interest while you were in school. Unsubsidized, the interest starts accruing once it is dispersed. And that is the interest that we're talking about, that Henry was talking about, that it would be good just to pay the interest while you're in school, not the principal.
And you can always Google these terms and see what the definitions are online.
Maybe a little bit better then.
No, I think you did a great job. For once.
Okay, ready for that question?
Yeah.
All right, we received a federal student aid report notice that says we need to resolve issues on our FAFSA. Does this mean my daughter won't receive her award letter until it's resolved?
Bummer. Well, there are several things that could have happened. Once you file the FAFSA, you will get notice from the feds that it is being processed or it has been processed. It will tell you exactly, and we get the same notifications if something's wrong. So you might get the wrong message, meaning it's been rejected. It will, if it has been rejected, it will list the reasons why. Your Social Security number does not match. Your parents did not sign it. There's a parent portion and a student portion, and a lot of times the parent is filling it out and they think they're the student too, and so they don't know to sign their part. So there's different reasons why something could be rejected, and we'll tell you why. Your student aid report, your SAR report, will also say you have been selected for verification. That means, so you will not get your award letter if it's rejected, because we won't get the results of your FAFSA because something's wrong that you all need to fix. Also, in other situations, it will say you've been selected for verification. You will get your award letter, but what that means is you have been selected by the feds, not by Xavier. I worked at another school that we selected a whole lot more students. That's just too much busy work for you and for us. So if you've been selected for verification from the feds, that means it's no red flag, it's nothing that you've done, or they have your name and they'll have it for 4 years. But it is a random, I say it's a Fed dartboard that they just, let's contact this person, that you have to verify to the financial aid office. If you applied to 6 different schools, you need to send 6 different verifications, which would be a copy of your W-2s, a copy of the verification worksheet that we will have sent you or will be sending you, and your tax transcript. We used to be able to take your 1040, your easy, but the tax transcript is the processed tax return that you have submitted. Nothing, no federal aid, no Pell Grants, loans, federal grants will disperse onto your account in August until we get this information. So there's a way to get your tax transcript. You can call, there's an 800 number that's on the verification form that we give you. There, you can go to irs.gov, or I don't think it's live yet, but when you are filing the FAFSA, there is a way to hook up the tax retrieval. It is a link to the federal government that you can download your tax information into your FAFSA. So when we ask for verification documents, we'll already have your tax information. So we always get the question, and I don't know if it's in your load there, I own my own business, or I don't do my taxes until September, October. Well, that means your Xavier aid will disperse, your awards will disperse, your Xavier grants will disperse, your presidential scholarship will disperse. But if you're looking for loans, or your parent loans, or your Pell Grant, or your Perkins loan, or federal grants, none of that will disperse until the verification process is complete.
And to follow up on that, I get the call, well, I'm waiting for my tax, I'm waiting to file my taxes because my student has been selected for verification. I want to postpone paying the bill until all of that gets done. And the answer to that is, you can, but there are going to be consequences to the student for that happening. I always encourage students and parents to pay the bill. Pay the bill. There are 2 ways to pay. You can sign up for the payment plan like I already talked about, or you can pay your balance in full. Those are the 2 ways to pay it. And if you have something that's going to delay the federal money from coming onto your account, the best thing to do, I think, unless you have the financial resources to pay it in full, is to sign up for that payment plan and pay the $50 enrollment fee and start making monthly payments. Because what we use in our office is we have a hold process. We will place a hold on your Bursar account, which will block transcripts, registration for classes, diplomas. You don't have to worry about that yet. We also go through a class cancellation process. If you have not signed up for a payment plan and made your first payment on August 1st, or you did not sign up for the payment plan and you did not pay your balance in full, then you're going to get a warning notice saying that your classes are at risk of being canceled. And there are a number of people on campus who are working to try and connect with you, trying to contact you to get you to do what you need to do so that your classes don't get canceled. We don't want to cancel anybody's classes, but sometimes, and unfortunately, it's like this, it takes that kind of motivation, that kind of warning to get students and or parents to do what they need to do in order to get their Bursar account up to date. So that's sort of the bad news, good news. You know, we want you to stay here and be here, but you got to take care of your business.
Does a financial aid office look at specific circumstances and possibly help out if extra help is needed?
There is a form that's kind of a yes, sometimes. there is a form called Special Circumstances Form. The FAFSA is not the best, but it's all that we have. A lot of families will call and say, I'm taking care of grandma's bills, or I'm helping with other friends or relatives and I can't find our debt. I do not see a box putting how much our debt is. The FAFSA or the feds really don't care what's going out. They're only looking at what's coming in. However, that being said, we do have a form, a special circumstances form for special circumstances, such as you filed the FAFSA and you're making $100,000 and you're getting divorced, and maybe the mother is only making $10,000 and the husband was making $90,000. We can separate out her income. Let's say you have lost your job. Sure, I made $100,000 last year, but I'm not making it this year. I've lost my job. There are circumstances of paid medical bills that is not covered by insurance. There is a special, I don't know if it's called a T98. It's a special form that you file with your taxes when you have a lot of medical bills. So those are specific things. Private school tuition. We ask that you call for that because private school tuition, it depends on how much you're paying. If your adjusted income, what we do is subtract how much you're paying in private school tuition from the year before and subtract that from your adjusted gross income, which will reduce your adjusted gross income, which would lower your family contribution on your FAFSA, which could get you more aid. However, if you're making $200,000 and you're paying $5,000 private school tuition, that's really not going to amount to that, to a hill of beans that much, just subtracting $5,000. If you make a lot less on your adjusted gross income and you're paying a boatload, and it's all relative, I understand, then I would give us a call, tell us how much you're paying in private school tuition, not counting the incoming student. And there is a form for that. We subtract what you've paid. It's a letterhead from your school. We subtract that from your adjusted gross income, which could get you more aid.
All right. I am also the parent of triplets. All of our decision making is dependent on receiving these letters from the colleges. Any way to expedite this?
Well, the only thing I can say about that, if all three come to Xavier, you're getting a boatload of a break of tuition. Each student is getting 25% off of tuition, not counting the award or the award or scholarship that they already have.
Is that through the family grant?
Yes.
Okay.
It's called the family grant. If you have one or more at Xavier, now if you have one here and one there, and that you wouldn't get the 25% off. They all three have to attend Xavier.
The application process for the Parent Plus loan is different. Where do we apply for that?
Studentloans.gov. It's the same place that your students go to. You are looking at the Parent Plus loan. They are looking at the direct loan.
The master promissory note and the entrance counseling.
No entrance counseling for the parent.
I know, but for the student looks at studentloans.gov.
Yes. You know what? They just changed it this year. I think the parents do have to do an entrance counseling.
Do you know, it's one of the questions is who do we do the entrance counseling with? Xavier?
No, everything is studentloans.gov.
It's an online counseling. It's not a face-to-face.
It's not a Xavier thing. Yes.
It's just an online Q&A
yes.
type thing.
All right. What should we anticipate for annual increases?
Of tuition?
I'm assuming that's my guess, yeah.
What do you say?
I say it has been in the range of about 2.99% every year.
I might be able to tell you what it's been for the past 4 years if you're interested. Let me see if I have this here.
While he's looking that up, Deb, so grants are financially need-based.
No. Yes, you have to have filed the FAFSA to get the Xavier grant, yes.
And then are there any out-of-state grants?
Out-of-state grants, if Pennsylvania has a state grant, I'm not sure of it's all driven by your family contribution. The state of Ohio used to give it to every Ohio student. And then several years ago, only if you filed a FAFSA. And then they kept, the grant was only given to students with a family contribution of, it used to be $3,000 and then now it's $2,091. So if your family contribution is $2,190. If it's above that, you will not get a state grant, an Ohio grant. There are 2 other states that also have state grants, but you would need to check with your state that they will cross state lines.
Okay.
Let me go back to somebody asked about the percent of increase. Coming into this coming fall for the 2015-2016 school year, the increase over this current year is 3%. Prior to that, it was 2.99, 2.99, 3.01, 3.17. So that goes back. It's about 3%. Now, if you're in the Williams College of Business as a business student, that tuition has increased 2.91% over this current year, coming into this next school year, and 2.9, 2.89, 2.91 for the years prior. So probably 3% would be a good average.
All right. If we fill out the FAFSA and list schools we're applying to, do schools get to see all schools applied to?
Yes and no. You have 10 or 12 spots, but I don't know every school's code because you're not putting the name of the school, you're putting their school code.
But you get to see their codes?
I can see the top 5 schools that you applied to.
Oh, you can?
Mm-hmm.
You know the names?
Yes.
Oh, we don't.
Because I know the codes.
Okay, we don't know the codes.
But do you see the codes?
We see the codes.
Okay. Well, you can always decode it through the decoder ring that everybody gets. I think actually you can Google it and get it.
Yeah.
So yes, the answer is yes, we can see the schools.
Just let me know when I can talk about refunds.
All right, well, there's one more question, and then it is all yours. If we were given a scholarship amount in her acceptance letter, could this number change either way? Do you want me?
Yeah, why don't you take that because we're in new territory. to give an idea, acceptance, when you got your acceptance letter, you got a scholarship. This year, they are ranged between $11,000 and $20,000. That was based off a number of things, but the bulk of that acceptance scholarship is going to be GPA and test scores. The only thing that could possibly change it is going to be increasing your test score scores higher. It will not go lower, though, if that makes sense. So you only increase it if you are not already at the $20,000 mark. You can't go above that if you're at that mark. All right, someone else please ask a question so Henry doesn't have to talk.
Did somebody really say that?
Nope, that was me.
Oh, okay.
That was your mother.
Yeah, that's my mom.
All right, well, there are no more questions, so Henry, I'll let you get to
Refunds.
Refunds, perfect.
Okay. I'm going to get you back for that one. That was pretty good. Okay, so let's talk about refunds. This is going to be a little bit of a graphic. It's very sophisticated. So charges will go onto your bill.
Do you want me to be Vanna White?
No.
Okay.
Charges will go onto your bill. So you go from a zero amount due to now charges go onto your bill, and that'll take place in between probably July 1st, July 2nd. And you'll be able to see that on your Bursar account if you log in to the Student Hub and look at the e-payment site. Then the bill is generated on July 15th or thereabout, depending upon if that's a weekday or not. And you'll see that financial aid is on there. Now, some people will, through financial aid or 529 plans or payments from grandma, who knows where, those payments come in and sometimes they overpay. Now, before I talked about the financial aid and payments or credits to your account underpay what your charges are, and this is the gap that you have to pay either through the payment plan or by paying in full. But let's talk about what happens here. So this means that payments are more than the charges, which means that this is an overpayment. This amount is an overpayment. And my office goes through a refund process every week. On Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, depending upon the volume of overpayments that we have on students' accounts, we will analyze each account and determine whether or not that student gets that money back. For instance, if this overpayment happened to be the result of a check that came into our office and we processed it as a payment, then we're going to wait 15 business days for that before we refund that overpayment. And we go through this refund process every week. So a refund will be processed on your account every week if you have an overpayment on your account. Now, if you take a look at the frequently asked questions on the Bursar's website, it's important for you to read about Hire One. Xavier has partnered with Hire One on processing our refunds. So when you become a registered student, Hire One will send to you, to your address at home during the summer, what we call a MasterCard debit card. Now, don't panic too much. It comes in a bright green envelope. It is not a solicitation for a credit card. That debit card is simply the key to get into Hire One's website, where you can select one of 3 ways to get your refund. You can ask to have a check sent to you. That's going to be the slowest way to get your money back. You can ask them to electronically transfer the money to an existing checking or savings account that you already have, which is what I recommend. That takes probably 1 day, maybe 2 days at the most to get once Hire One starts processing the refunds. The third way is you can sign up for a Hire One checking account. It's a bank without walls. And if you do that, your refund would, on the day that we process the refunds, go into that checking account, and you would have used that debit card, that MasterCard debit card, to access the funds. So we have one ATM on campus here specifically for Hire One customers to be able to go in and take money out of that ATM as long as you have that money available in the Hire One checking account. It's no different than a debit card that you might have today with US Bank. You would use that debit card any place that they accept MasterCard or Visa, whatever the logo is on your debit card, and you can only spend what's in your checking account at that bank. The Hire One card works the same way. So I always suggest don't have so many accounts. Try and keep things simple. If you already have an existing checking or savings, go ahead and use that when you log in. Just don't throw away the bright green envelope that has a debit card in it, because as I say, that's the key to selecting how you want to get your refund. So here's what's going to happen. Let's say that all the charges come on and mom and dad decide to, and all the financial aid has gone on and all the scholarships and everything has gone on, and the balance is now 0. It equals exactly what the charges are. Then mom decides to send her son, who's away at college, an extra $500, thinking that she's going to help to pay that Bursar bill, which has a 0 balance. So it overpays the account by $500. And we do this weekly refund process where the refund goes back to our customer. Now, my customer happens to be the student because the Bursar account is in the name of the student. So that refund will go back to the student. So mom may think that she's doing a good thing by helping to pay down the Bursar account, which has a 0 balance, creates an overpayment, and now $500 is sitting in the student's checking account. The student is happy, but mom might be upset. The best example I have is that a mom called me up and said, my daughter told me that she needed $2,400 to pay the rest of her balance on her Bursar account. And I went ahead and I sent the $2,400 in. I found out that she had a 0 balance at the time, and the $2,400 was refunded or is getting ready to be refunded to my daughter. I want to know how I can get my $2,400 back. And I said, you can't. The refund is going to go back to your daughter, so you're going to have to get the money from your daughter. And the mom says to me, we aren't talking. Woo.
Okay.
Yeah, you just got to pay attention. And I certainly hope that those kinds of relationships, I know they exist, but this is an opportune time to start new and to begin new ways to communicate with one another, so you're both on the same page.
All right. So this next question is for me, actually. So it says, is there a schedule of these chats and topics covered? Wondering if there's any way to access previous chats.
So all of these chats, thank you, Henry. I appreciate it. All of these chats are going to be on the Road to Xavier website. So there is a tab on that, so play around with it. You all should get to know that site because that will be your lifeline for all things Xavier in the future. But make sure that every chat is already on there. So you can watch and rewatch them to your heart's desire. You can listen to Henry talk all day long. And then the next one, we usually have them every 2 weeks, and we try to have them on Thursdays. We want to make them relevant to what's happening to you guys, so you're kind of walking through this process. But it depends on who's available when, and just kind of what's going on that week.
And what they want to know.
Yeah, and what they want to know. So if you have feedback, email me. I sent you my email address. We're hoping the next one is going to be in 2 weeks, so 2 Thursdays from now, and it should be about residence life. So we're hoping to have a little more in-depth look about residence halls and things you can choose from. Henry, you're having way too much fun with this camera.
I just want to see, am I getting you in here?
Yeah, you are. I'm one. Yep,
Oh, there you are.
See? Yay. All right. So I want to thank you guys all. We actually went over, which is great. You guys had a lot of good questions. As I said, this will be posted on the Road to Xavier, so you can catch all this information. If you guys have any final questions or comments.
And just so you know, the reason I talk so much is there's so much information. And in order to help to make your to make your transition to Xavier seamless, it's really important for you to be in the know so that you aren't caught unawares. Hope that helps.
Email us. You can email us at Xavier, no, XU, XUFinaid, FINAID at Xavier.edu. XUFinaid at Xavier.edu, or XUBursar, BURSAR at Xavier.edu. And we will get your email and get back to you within a day.
Okay, now I want to show you something. I'm going to travel with this camera, and I hope you can see. Show them your socks today. Is that showing up on the camera?
Yep, that's there.
See? Evan always has some lovely socks that should not go unnoticed. They're very lovely. I have yet to buy any like that.
Maybe for your birthday, I'll give you a pair.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I want to thank you guys all. I hope you, first of all, you survived an hour with Henry, so that's good. I'm glad you guys did that. And you got to see Deb again, and you survived with this. So I want to thank you guys all for coming in. I hope this was informative. Let me know. Contact me. I'll give you my email address. Let them know if you have questions. Keep us informed. We're here to help you. So let us help you, and we'll see you hopefully at the next chat.
Yep.
So,
bye, guys.
Goodbye,
Thanks
everyone.
for coming.
Thank you all very
I see
much.
you waving. You look great out there.
All right.